Good morning, warriors. Welcome to the You movement. I am B. And this morning, bright and early, I am sitting here coming to you, wanting to talk to you a little bit about my experience last night, because it would appear that on this spiritual awakening, I have just entered the sixth phase of a spiritual awakening, which is the reintegration back into society. And I attended a party last night. And I gotta say, that was a little bit of a surreal experience. I've mentioned to you that on my spiritual awakening, I met three beautiful women without whom I wouldn't be here. There isn't a chance. They saved me in the darkest of darks, and it was one of their birthdays yesterday, and they were having a party, so I wasn't going to miss that for anything in the world. But I haven't attended a party since 2018, and I certainly haven't attended any types of activities that have put me in and around behaviors that I no longer participate in. So this would be my first party I've ever attended with no alcohol, no cigarettes, no pot, no antidepressants or anti-anxieties, no caffeine, no sugar, no flour, no dairy, and no masking. I attended the party pretty much exactly as I look today. So I'm not waking up with eye makeup down around here and looking a little bit worse for wear. In fact, I'm waking up. So no hangovers, no feeling nauseous, no foggy head, none of that. So that's a very surreal experience for somebody that used to very much have the egoic personality of the party girl. And that's who I was for a number of years. And then thereafter, any party that I would attend, there were certain protocols in place for a party. I would have a lot of makeup on my face, get dressed in, fancy, uncomfortable clothing quite oftenly, trying to look appealing, usually to the opposite sex, something, a sexy little number of some kind. And then there would have been copious amounts of alcohol. Once I started drinking, I drank. So I would never have called myself an alcoholic in the past, because I reserved my drinking to the weekends, or, as opposed to, I wasn't like drinking every single day or every single night of the week, and that got less and less as I got older. But certainly when I was younger, in my 20s, I was partying all the time, so it wasn't just weekends. But, in the last 20 years, partying was reserved for a specific day of the week. So, but when I did start drinking, I was a binge drinker, and once I started, there was no stopping me, and I took drinking very seriously, and would get into the shots. Tequila was my drink of choice, and once I started, there was no stopping me. Food didn't even stop me, because it would get in the way of the drinking. And over the years, that got harder and harder to maintain as a way of life, and the hangovers got worse and worse and worse. And I say, drinking quit me, as opposed to I quit drinking, because first beer became, I couldn't tolerate it. My stomach couldn't tolerate it, so I quit beer probably about 25 years ago. And then I moved into vodka, and I drank vodka routinely for a very long period of time. I would have been the girl at the pub that went, and because I lived in Ireland for 10 years as well, and my drink of choice was a double vodka and Red Bull. So caffeine and alcohol, you know, in great combination. And while I would be out, I would have like 2 packs of cigarettes with me. So a night out looked like a lot of consumption and of both alcohol and cigarettes in grand, you know, something was always in a hand for sure. And when I returned to Canada in 2009, a lot of that heading to the pubs behavior stopped, but still house parties were present. And when I would go to parties, I'd have, you know, a bag full of booze that you would bring with. And I had quit smoking for a period of time, but then that reared its ugly head again. So drink in grand proportion with a lot of tobacco, and then when pot became legal in Canada, I replaced the smoking cigarettes with pot, so I could still smoke something. It was the joy of pot. So I moved then into pot, and so first I quit alcohol. So first I quit smoking and replaced it with pot. Then I quit alcohol, and the pot went up. The pot usage went up with that. You know, you'd go into a stronger strain. All the whiles I was on antidepressants. And when I would go to parties, there would be a whole bunch of masking that would be going on because, you know, I had to look a certain way, I had to talk a certain way, I had to be a certain way, because I was trying so desperately to fit in, because social interaction was incredibly difficult for me, but I wanted to be... have that liquid courage and be the comedian and crack jokes and, you know, be the life of the party was the hat that I used to wear. So when you quit all of these substances one after another, and I've done videos a while back called Letting Go, series of 11 videos of like letting go each of these things. It really is, it has its own challenges in quitting substances, but then reintegrating you back into an environment where there are other people who are smoking and other people who are drinking and other people who are eating sugary, yummy treats and other people who are drinking, you know, Red Bull or caffeinated beverages, and you are not doing any of those things. I was a little bit nervous before this event on, you know, what it was going to be like, if I was going to end up doing a lot of like stimming and or other behaviors, or if I was going to be able to like interact with people because small talk is incredibly difficult for me as well. And I ended up having an absolutely lovely time. There's a lot more listening that happens in this situation than previously, because previously it would have been, I need to perform, I need to be on stage, I need to be cracking jokes left, right, and center. And so there was a lot more of just listening involved and observing. Luckily, the group of people that were there were wonderful people, nice, you know, salt of the earth type of people, and the environment was pleasant, and I had my own little escape room provided to me if I needed to take a time out, which I did at one point in the night, but only once. I just needed, because energetically I needed to reground, because I've gone from being in hermit mode for the last 5, 7, I don't even know how many years I've been basically on my own, but I've been completely isolated and hermited for at least 3, you know, the last 2 years has been total hermiting for sure, with like no outside activities, except for staying very focused on my healing and this spiritual journey that I've been on, and facing all the shadow. The last thing you want to do when you're in dark night of the soul is go out and be amongst people. And you know, some days, as I've said, if you've watched any of my past videos, you are white knuckling it through a lot of shadow work, a lot of trauma release, a lot of other things. So you're not socializing. So to be in a place where, and I can repeat, the 6 stages of the spiritual awakening are your wake-up call, the bliss phase, and that would have been about 3 years ago. So there were a couple moments in the bliss phase where I was at least a lot more social. But then once I hit the dark night of the soul, that would have started 2 years ago, that collapsed in within itself, and my interactions with people, because there's so much loss, as I said, became less and less and less. And then you go into the void where like nothing is happening at all, and you bounce around a little bit between the dark night of the soul, the void, and grounding, and this, that, and the other. And so those 3 phases of dark night of the soul, the void, and grounding have been still very hermited, isolated stages. So to reintegrate back into society and be around a group of people in itself was a whoa experience, but then to do it in complete sobriety was another very surreal experience, because I realized that the last time I would have attended a party completely sober, no masking, no, pharmaceuticals to keep me numb, I would have been 14. So I'm 51 now. That's a long time to go. Yes, and even when I was a child, I can remember there was always a certain element of masking involved. I wasn't showing up as myself because I wasn't allowed to. So I always wanted to be what other people needed to be. So I sat back in this party and I observed not only myself, but observed everyone else's interactions, and just enjoyed. I participated in a game that was played. I enjoyed a lot of the food options that I could eat, and it was a much different vibe. It was a very peaceful vibe, but one that would have been impossible for me just after I had quit any of these things. And be aware of that if you are looking at quitting, because as I've said, when you quit certain substances and certain coping mechanisms, being in an environment where you're around that type of activity is not going to work for you. It's going to work against you. And so requires, usually when you quit a substance, is you quit the people, you quit the locations, you quit the energy of that type of thing. And now this party was nothing like any party I would have previously attended, because it wasn't about everybody getting like crazy drunk and consuming large amounts of liquor, because those would have been my people. We were drinkers, we were partiers, and so these people are just normal people getting together for a birthday party, enjoying conversation and catching up. A very family oriented event, and it was a beautiful event at that. I apologize for the dog in the background. Hopefully that'll pass. So I wanted to bring that about. If anybody is struggling with quitting any of these coping mechanisms and needs some help along the path, I've been through it. I understand it. I also have a background in addictions, and see, that's why I was a little smart through my years of never once becoming overly addicted to any one particular substance. Instead, I spread it out so it all looked very socially acceptable. Drink on the weekends. Well, smoking is something that is socially acceptable. Pot became legal, so it's a legal activity. Pharmaceuticals are highly recommended to you left, right, and center, and as are anti-anxieties or any other meds that you may, here, you struggle with something, here, take this. And then, society as a whole promotes masking. Here, buy makeup, buy this product, buy that, so that you can look a certain way and literally wear a mask. So I totally understand what it is to start stripping away all of these things that we use as means to prop ourselves up, kind of like training wheels, instead of being able to just be. And so that was my goal, to just be. and I successfully did that. So I'm feeling pretty good today. It's going to take me a little bit more time to process through it. But I'm proud of myself for all that I have accomplished in these last 5 years in quitting all of these things, one after another. And I certainly didn't do them all at the same time. So if you are thinking about quitting some of these substances that are no longer working for you because they're unhealthy and toxic and are crutches to energy that's missing within, my pieces of advice are thus. 1, do not quit a whole bunch of things all at the same time. Give yourself at least a 28-day window between things. That's the way I kind of worked it, is, once I'd quit one thing, I'd be like, okay, next. I didn't quit everything all at the exact same time. That's setting yourself up to fail and putting way too much pressure on yourself, because the detox that your body needs to go through when you quit anything is going to be difficult. Even giving up caffeine, the headaches that I got for the first week were terrible. So here, I'll give you a little bit of, the withdrawal of any of those. The withdrawal of alcohol wasn't so bad because once you got past the last hangover, because your body's going through the DTs and the detoxification of a hangover. If you are a heavy binge drinker, you kind of get righted and everything starts improving after about a week. The detox of cigarettes, 3 days is kind of, the first 3 days are a little bit torturous. Keeping your hands busy, using art or something else, and chewing on ice chips, because you don't want to replace one thing with something else unhealthy. So, some people think of eating sweets or things like that, but then you're eating sugar, so don't do that. Ice chips and lots of water, because then you're helping to detoxify. Put some lemon in your water to help detoxify your system. But I found ice chips, you'd be like, I want a cigarette. Go do some art or do something with your hands and chew on those ice chips, and it helps a whole bunch. Caffeine, switch to tea, so you're still getting the sensation of something hot. Or even do a weaning process of move into decaf coffee. But the problem with me moving into, I did do decaf for a period of time, but then I still took my coffee with milk and sugar, which I didn't want to keep doing. So now I don't do decaf because I've quit milk and sugar as well. So now I've replaced it with either herbal teas I drink, so you still have a nice hot drink sensation, or cocoa, mushroom cocoa, and that has a tiny little bit of sugar in it, but not too much. You can get ones that are sweetened with something else. So pot, I quit cold turkey, and because by the time I quit pot, I had quit everything else, and I knew that it would be just wait out the 28 days, and after 28 days, you'll feel a lot better. You do sweat a lot if you smoke pot every single day, which I did. You do go through a sweating. So help yourself sweat by going to a sauna, so you can help detoxify your system. So we've got, if you're quitting anything, we've got lemons that you want to be consuming. We've got saunas that you want to be doing, and we want to be keeping hands and teeth busy, ice chips, mouth busy with ice chips, so that you've got something else that you can replace it with. Pharmaceuticals, quitting antidepressants was particularly the slowest and the longest and the most arduous out of all of the things, because I weaned myself slower than slow, because I had done it a couple of times in my life. I'd been put on antidepressants and then tried to go off of them, and so it took me months and months and months and months to slowly wean. Like, I'd be opening up the little pills and taking out like 5 of the micro pills at a time. Every week I would go down another 5, and then every week I'd go down another 5, because the brain zaps that you get, and the stuff that's happening in your brain, because it's messing with your brain's chemistry. So that I took a really long time to clear out of my system. Quitting makeup and stuff like that was relatively instantaneous. There was no withdrawal from that, other than getting used to looking at your naked face in a mirror. So doing mirror work is a nice, useful tool to assist you in learning to love what your face looks like. Because for women anyways, I think most women look in their face in a mirror and immediately start going, oh, look, I have a line here. Oh my God, look at my bags. Oh my God, look at my lip. We just pick ourselves apart and are harshly critical. So you need to stop doing that and replace it with pleasant things. So instead, when you're looking at the mirror, focus on something that you do like and say, oh wow, I have nice eyes. I like my eyes. Or, oh, that's a nice smile. Or so when you're brushing your teeth every morning or evening, do some mirror work and just look at yourself and start appreciating what your actual reflection is. Because I was so disassociated from my body when I was overweight that I didn't like to look at a mirror at all. I found it uncomfortable and disturbing, because I didn't understand the reflection coming back at me. It just wasn't who I was. So now I look at my mirror all the time, and there is a YouTube woman, I love her, Mel Robbins, I think is her name, and she talks about high-fiving herself in the mirror. So I started doing that too, and just like, yeah, you go girl. You had a good day, and give yourself a little bit of a high five and a smile, and say, nice things to yourself while you're looking in the mirror, which ties into the self-loathing program. And I've done a lot of videos on that, and you need to replace the self-loathing talk and the negative self-talk with learning to love the fuck out of yourself. So that means learning to love the fuck out of yourself as you look, with no makeup, with no hair dye, with no drink in your hand, no cigarettes. So all of these things boil down to just allowing yourself to be who you truly are. Be your authentic self. Be in your best vibration, that throat chakra energy of this is who I am. And it's a much calmer place to be. I did notice that just sitting and listening and observing, it was just, it was pleasant. It was kind of relaxing. I didn't feel a huge amount of tension. I was a little bit nervous that people would think I was slightly odd, because I do tend to stand out a little bit with the amount of tattoos that I have. But, there were a few tattoos sprinkled amongst the people, and nobody was looking at me like I was particularly like a wackadoodle, so it was okay. And it was nice. I had some very pleasant interactions with people talking, and relaxed and pleasant state of being. Very surreal. So yes, I mentioned don't overdo it. One substance at a time. Allow each substance the time that it requires to clear from your body and detoxify in the best way that it can. Allow yourself months afterwards to integrate that into your reality before you try to go out into the world and integrate this new reality into the outer world. So, it's been years and years of me being self-contained. And the more time you give to yourself, the more time you process through all the stuff that comes up. Because when you remove all of your coping mechanisms one after another, you're clearing the decks, so to speak, so that all the stuff that you were trying to repress is going to come out. So that's why you don't want to jump back in, integrating back into being around groups of people until you've had an opportunity to do the inner child work, the shadow work, the trauma release, and all of the other stuff that comes through after you've removed all the fences, because that's what these are. They're each of them is like a security fence that's holding all the stuff at play. So if you are participating in certain addictive habits, understand that there's a reason for that, and the reason for that is what needs to be healed, and do the healing work. That's why we need to take time on our own, isolated, so we can do the healing work before you can go and be reintegrated into society in a comfortable way that isn't going to trigger you. So if you need more help with anything that you're trying to let go of, please feel free to reach out and book a one-on-one Zoom call with me. And the way to do that is in the description below. All of my services are donation-based. Thank you, and thank you for all of the likes, shares, and subscriptions. I really, really greatly appreciate it. And that said, peace out.